As we're settling in, Kevin, could you say a little bit about where you are and the kind of things that you're up to, please?
Yeah, sure. So I have a private practice based in Newark, Nottinghamshire, a beautiful little market town called Newark. I've been in private practice now for about 4 or 5 years. Before that, I worked in the NHS, again working with people in health promotion one-to-one. So I've kind of been in the industry of working one-to-one with people for probably about 10 or 15 years now. And like I say, private practice started 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, so I guess it's a big difference between the NHS and private practice. Very different, different pace, perhaps. Yeah,
completely different pace, completely different pay scale, completely different bureaucracy. So I would never go back to the NHS, and I love private practice. I love the autonomy that I can afford myself, and the journeys that I can go on with clients. I love that as well, because there's less criteria to hit. When I'm working with people, I like to work with the person that's sat in front of me and not have somebody saying, well, you can't do this and you can't do that. In private practice, you just get more autonomy. So I enjoy that. And I find that private practice journeys are completely different to anything else I've ever done, because of the freedom you get. And as long as you're following your code of ethics then, and everybody's safe, then the freedom's fantastic.
Yeah.
So it's certainly by far the best job that I've ever had.
Ah, okay. Well, it's lovely to hear that. Yes, that you're in the right place for you. And
absolutely.
Yeah. And of course, we're here to think about self-esteem, imposter syndrome. Can you say a little bit about how you got interested in those topics, or why they've become kind of primary for you?
Oh, well, I guess I became interested because they were so present in my therapy room. They were always there, and still are. I think I wrote on the workshop that I wrote, I used some figures, and the figures were, my guesstimate was that about 80% of the people that present at some point during their journey will present with low self-esteem. Even, and it's quite often not the presenting issue, but about 80%. And I just thought that was staggering. And what was even more staggering was that people couldn't see it. We're not good. We're really not good at accepting those words, low self-esteem. People don't like it. There's a lot of stigma attached to it. And if I'm honest as well, my own low self-esteem for years and years was around. And there was a lot of dual journeys taking place. So I became more and more interested in it. And I found out about imposter syndrome. I think it was my supervisor one day that said, I was talking to my supervisor and she went, oh, you've got imposter syndrome. And I went, what? Do I need to go to the doctors? She went, no, it's just imposter syndrome. So of course I read up on imposter syndrome, and I was like, I get it. I get imposter syndrome. But for me, it was just a cover. It was a cover for, it was a really nice, modern, trendy word and trendy phrase for low self-esteem. And I was like, oh, it kind of serves a purpose, because if people can do the work and then recognize it, then it will serve a purpose. But for me, it's still what's underneath the imposter syndrome. The imposter syndrome sits here, and the low self-esteem kind of sits underneath it. So
fascinating. Yes,
it's a buzzword. It's one of those buzzword labels that we love attaching ourselves to.